Hey y'all, welcome to a new project. We are going to be building a demo system out of a Gamewell E3 fire alarm panel. I'm putting this together mostly for fun, just with parts that I bought secondhand. I kind of wanted to prove to myself that it could be done for under $1,000. I know most collectors probably wouldn't go above and beyond to do something like that, but there are a couple of us that are crazy enough to spring that high. So now, those who are familiar with these panels, you'll see that I'm mounting the top plate upside down, and I'll go into why I'm doing that, but there's a lot that goes into building these systems, and I've always been really fascinated by it. Ever since I saw my project manager put one together, I was just like, I want to do that. And I have gotten to build one of these systems in the past, just earlier this year, and I really enjoyed the hell out of it. So now with this one, from a system upgrade that we just did, I figured I would, spring and get some parts and put this together. So, but like with the plate, I'm putting it upside down the way that you would normally do it, because this power supply right here, you see it's got all these holes for standoffs, and the main board doesn't have as many holes, so it can only go in that slot on the bottom right there. So the power supply is going to have to go on top, and then I'm going to put the main board on the bottom. The reason I'm doing this is so I can get a special plate to put on top of the main board, so I can put my voice gateway in there and then have that real close to the amplifier, so I don't have to get too long of a ribbon cable, because stacking anything on top of the power supply is not going to be a good day. You won't be able to close that door. It's going to be a real pain. Like, I've already got stuff on my door that's hitting the top of the power supply, and that's really not fun for me. A couple of the reasons I can justify this project is I kind of want to prove that a voice system can be built in its entirety inside of a B cabinet. And another reason is the panel that I have in the shop, the Silent Night 5700, is starting to display some weird, crazy crap. And it is even making my weather radio display some funky stuff. Now you might be wondering, why do you need to get a special plate? This is why. This right here is my voice gateway. It's upside down, but you get the point. It's not as wide as the main board, but it's a little bit taller. So in order to make it work in this cabinet, I got to get a special plate, which is literally just called a 9375. And then right here is an ASM 16, which will be on that node, as well as the NGA, which will be monitoring that node. But the NGA is actually its own node. Alright, the plate is finally here. As you can see, it actually came in the original package, and it has the original packing materials. So as you can see, pretty high quality plate, as always. Incredibly sharp edges. You could definitely give yourself a nice nick, a nice slice and laceration with this thing. And it's actually fairly new. So those who don't know how to read the date codes, this is basically the 32nd week of 2025, which that is pretty close to that. So yeah. Anyway, I'm going to show you what's going on here. So aside from the fact that I pre-wired, just ran some of the ribbon cables and stuff, I actually had to stretch out my standoffs a little bit just so I would feel better about, not shorting anything on this board. Alright, so putting this plate on is just like the other ones. It's fairly simple, and as always I advise, putting the plate on before you put the card on it, just so, like, in case you drop it, stuff like that. And then, like I said, you can put it on the PM9, but then it would be like flush with where the inner door would be in the closed position. So yeah, we put on the main board instead. And once we get that on there, then we'll be able to put our VGX on there. And I know y'all like my Siemens tweaker. You can't have it though.
Most of y'all probably won't be able to tell, but I'm actually using the screws and the standoffs that come in the box with the PS6 and PS10 power supplies, just because the small ones for the E3s are pretty hard to come by, so I like to save those.
Alright, so here's what it looks like right now. Basically, this plate is, it is kind of covering, well, it is covering the main board, but it is allowed to be done. You know, you'll still have access to the screw terminals. You'll still be able to see what all of your terminals are, exactly what everything is. Same with this side. So yeah, we'll mount the VGX here next. So mounting this is you know, pretty much the same as mounting all the other ones. Now with this one, I am going to use the ones that came with the plate right here, just because, you know, like I said, they're not very deep. They won't accept the ones that come with the power supplies, which, I mean, I could cut them down, but, you know, that's more of a hassle than it's worth, if we're being completely honest here. You can probably also see that I took the inner door off. I've already got one door to deal with. I think that's about all I need, because I got a new one coming in anyway. Alrighty, so now that our card is mounted, we'll go ahead and take these ribbon cables and just connect them to the appropriate slots. Let me go ahead and pull on this a little bit because it's a little tight. You know, you don't ever want your ribbon cables to be tight, so this will also be good. Leave these here, these those little foam pads, just to kind of cushion it a little bit, because these things are they're fragile, they're sensitive. So yeah, I think that looks pretty good, if I can get that to sit straight. So yeah, so basically I have this monitoring the PM9, and then this is using the local ArcNet channel going to the main board. So yeah, the next part of this is just going to be doing the door, and then hopefully soon enough programming. Other parts that I have on the way include a 20-pin ribbon cable going from here to here, and I got a ferrite clamp for it as well. That'll also be on the way. I have a 16-pin connector to go from here to my NGA. So as this thing sits right now, aside from the NGA and the ASM16, honestly, it could be programmed just like this. The only thing is the RS-232, which is right here, that block that you have to connect, just so you can program it, is right there behind that. But you can absolutely at least get the network built, so like you'll have your node 1, you have your node 2, which is the VGX, the voice, which is actually called an INX in the software, and then node 3 is the NGA. Now you may wonder, why can't all of that just be one node? Well, the thing about this software is that every single card has bits in it, and whenever you want something to do a specific thing, you have to reference that specific bit. The most that I've ever seen, as in like the highest number, is like group 7168, and that's just on the main board. So basically, if you want to activate output group 125, you'd have to do, you know, node 1 group 1, or if you want to do something special on ASM16, like whenever your thing is bypassed, have it like turn on the light or something, you'd have to put that into a thing called a scratch pad, because you can't do any bits in regular CAMs, is what they're called, conditional action messages. You can't put any bits into a regular CAM that are above group 447. So you'd have to use a scratch pad, which starts at group 416. So as you can imagine, if everything were one node, it would get crazy. Like 7,000 bits just by itself is a lot. I wouldn't want to have to be dealing with, like, you know, node 1 group 100,068. You know, that would just be ridiculous. And yes, I put the screws on the PM9. I can tell y'all were getting a little antsy with me for that, so I just had to do it.
Yeah, this was annoying. I expect way better from Spider, but we're still going to use it. We're going to make it work. Get this frame put together for the actual board. So you can see I got the panel there. I'm going to frame it out for the panel so I can flush mount it. I think that'll look really nice, especially once I get my wall panels up on this thing. You see the bottom stud for that panel, and then get that bad boy in there. And then I go start roughing in the boxes, and then run in the wire, which is also part of rough in. So I'm running 3 different lines right now. I'm running 2 NACs, which is my strobe and my speaker NAC, and then I am running my SLC right here. And of course you can't really see the color of the wires because of the daylight. Alright, now on to the part that evidently is the thing that can make or break these things. Programming. So right here, I'm also going to do some little punch list things like dummy out the other speaker NAC on the amplifier. That's good. And then the ASM16 unfortunately was not. And this is the old main board. The ASM did not work, so I ended up buying another one. I also ended up buying a new main board too. That is not supposed to sound like that. Oh my god. That's about enough of that, I think. Alright, I got the new main board and the new ASM16, and I'm really excited because I cracked the password to the main board and the ASM works. I also got a screen for this too, and I got an incredible deal on it.
May I have your attention, please? We are conducting a test of the fire alarm mass notification systems